Hello, friends. Welcome back to Love Wrestling. Spencer Love here. And I feel like I say this all the time, but I'm very, very lucky to believe it every single time I say it. I'm chatting with someone who is an icon in this industry, someone who has made a huge, huge impact on not only my life, but professional wrestling as a whole. Georgia Smith joining me, a former MLW correspondent, and of course, the daughter of the legendary British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. Georgia, I said it before and I'll say it again. It's actually literally as I can put it, unbelievable to be getting to chat with you today, especially so close to such a historic event for you and the family. How are you doing? Are you managing to keep up with everything? And I'm sure the media whirlwind you're going through right now.
It's been really busy. It's been like, and as you were saying, the time's getting closer to it. It's just mayhem. And I actually had to cancel a couple of podcasts today because I was like, I can't do it. So I'm sorry I got to do this. And us Albertans talking.
Absolutely.
I'm just happy to be talking to you, and you're so enthusiastic and positive and welcoming. And thank you.
No, thank you. And I certainly try my best to be so, but it's hard not to be, like I said, when I'm getting the opportunity to chat with not only a legend in the industry, but a fellow Albertan. What do you remember about your memories here early in Alberta? I know you moved away in 1991, sort of took away a little bit of those formative years, for lack of a better way to put it. But do you have any memories, whether it be Stampede or otherwise, from your time here as a kid?
So we moved back in 1996, and I did my duration of school in Canada, elementary, junior high, high school, freezing, lots of family, as you can imagine. It was really cool to be a part of the Hart family and the Hart House, and when the whole Hart Foundation was going on in 97, when I was like 9-10 years old. That was a pivotal memory. I was just looking at a picture of my grandpa's kitchen at that time, my mom and my dad and I, but yeah, it just brought me all back to that. And I can't say I miss living there. As you can imagine, I have not so great things happen. So I'm now I'm an adult and I've created my own life here. I actually lived in England for 5 years as well.
Yeah.
So I've been all over, but yeah, I'm still Canadian. I still have, representing Canada, but I'm now a Floridian. And I just wish my dad was here because I know he would be loving the weather here and jet skiing and but memories, just the Hart House and the weather, and Calgary has, in my opinion, like the best food.
Oh man, I won't disagree with you there at all, but I've got a dietitian for a girlfriend that I'm certain if I was to start talking about food, she'd pop in and we'd take over the entire podcast. Now, I know that your dad had a knack, or I guess a reputation as a ribber, for lack of a better way to put it. Did that extend at home, whether in Calgary or otherwise?
Not too badly. I'm trying to think if I just remember when we were in Kelowna, or no, it was Salmon Arm, BC, and I was on like the little tube and he was on the boat and I was riding behind and I fell off and he was like, there's an alligator. And I was like, what? But when you're like 11, 12 years old, you're going to believe that. And I was like, he's like, I can't believe you believe that. But yeah, I was like, you jerk. But nothing too bad. I think he saved that for the road when he was really bored traveling.
For what it's worth, I'm 29 and I'm still scared of the Ogopogo because my dad said the exact same thing when I was a kid. So it ain't any worries there. It ain't just unique to you. Don't worry. What other memories do you have as your dad when you were a kid? Obviously, he played a huge impact in your life both then and now, as sort of the head of keeping his memory alive, I suppose, for lack of a better way to put it. What else do you really remember? Maybe more so in his personal life rather than as a professional wrestler, that I know a lot of people have a lot of memories about.
Yeah, my dad, he had a really big heart. He was really generous, really funny. He was actually pretty quiet. Like he was a man of few words. But once he got talking and stuff, he was very shy. When he was home, he mostly just wanted to like relax and sleep and just chill. But he was just a very chill guy, just pretty easygoing, going with the flow. Let me see what else. He was a great dad. Just an overall, just an amazing person. And he just instilled in me to just like never quit, never give up. And, I learned a lot from him because, through my life, I never really saw my dad because he was always traveling. But then when he was going back to the WWF at the time in 1999, and he had gotten injured, and he had gotten released from WCW, and then when he was returning back to WWF, he was at home and he was training. And I had been off school that summer because he returned back to WWF in September. So I was going back to school in September. So throughout that whole summer, I spent pretty much every single day with my dad. And I saw him, get up in the morning, never had that victim mentality, never was dwelling. My dad had every kind of right to be like, F the world, but he didn't. Okay, well, what can I do to better my situation? What can I do? He was always trying to better himself and to provide the best life for himself and his family. So, I saw him at the gym every day, and his diet, and I did work out with him a couple of times. Nothing too extreme, just like cardio, like on the bikes and just like on the exercise ball. But looking back now, like I wish I embraced that more I wish he was here now to train with me, and I could learn from him or learn a good protein shake recipe, or I don't know. But he was a great guy. And I remember during that time as well, he used to make me poached eggs. I loved his poached eggs and grilled cheese pizzas. And believe it or not, Davey could eat like a whole pizza, like maybe 2 pizzas. Yeah. It was funny because like The Rock would be like, Davey, what's your diet? And like The Rock had a chef that would, have all like the prep meals and everything. And my dad kind of just ate anything. I did see him sometimes diet, but he loved the Subway grilled chicken subs. Loved those. I remember one of the last movies I saw with him was a Spider-Man in theaters, and he was eating that sub, and because I snuck the subs in the theater in my purse, and we were eating it, and it's dark, and we leave, and I see he's missing his tooth. So when he bit into it, and he bit like tooth. So my dad had like no tooth, and I was like, since you don't have two tooth, and he was like, huh? And he looks like a little hillbilly, but he got it
walking
fixed.
out like this.
Yeah, like, oh my God, you gotta get that fixed. Yeah, and then he had wrestled Barry in Winnipeg that week, and then I saw him the next time I had seen him. His tooth was back. And then, about 10 days later, no, a little shorter than that, he passed away. So, our bonding time was like watching movies, whether it was at home or going to the theaters. That was our bonding. Then his and Harry's was wrestling, obviously. And I remember the last time I saw him, I actually baked a pizza. I was taking home economics class in school, and I thought foods class, as we call it in Canada. And I thought I was, pretty good in the kitchen. And I put the pizza on the wrong setting, and it was like really like
floppy, I guess.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell did you make? I was like, what? You ate it. So yeah, he was one of a kind. And I'm just glad that, I'm doing, I enjoy doing what I'm doing for him right now. And it just brings me so much joy, and it brings his fans, they love seeing the content. And I'm glad, I can show people the guy that I knew.
And it's very, very cool because for me, there's so many individual little cool pieces that I want to touch on that you have been doing as far as your dad goes. But it's especially cool for me that you've mentioned before, right? Bonding over movies with them and having those experiences with Subway in theaters. It must have been so cool for you to be able to take part in the filming of the Icon documentary. I know you can't say much about the actual what's taking place in the documentary, but give me as general thoughts as you can give without getting me in trouble with the WWE.
Much they picked the icons for it, and I remember that Terry Funk was originally supposed to be in it, and they just wanted to just cover Davey's life, really. And I always wanted to do a documentary on my dad, whether it was with WWE or an independent project. But I'm glad it's with WWE because obviously they've got all the footage and the rights, and my dad's best career memories and greatest moments, I believe, was in WWE. So just overall worked out. And, I just talk about my memories of Davey, like my favorite. I don't think we talked about favorite matches. I think they just asked me like what I thought of Wembley and, the European title and just his big moments. And, it was a very therapeutic, like just pretty much from like start to finish. I was just like very emotional about it. And I just told the guy that was filming first thing, I was like, this means a lot to me. And, I want this to be as real and as genuine as possible. And I want you to, and people to understand and know the man and the husband my mom had and the father I had. And, the wrestler that people looked up to. Like, I want him to really shine. I said, cause he deserves all the credit in the world. And I was like, and it's super important to me to do this because I said I don't know if I'm going to have this chance to do it again. So I want to say as much as I can, really. So they filmed me last, and it was very, very late. And I was crying for like a couple of days because I felt like I purged a lot, like I just got a lot out. And I heard Harry and my mom talk, and we don't really talk about it too much. Like we talk about Dave, but the whole,
the circumstances
we don't talk about. So the fact that, I was in the next room and I could hear their sides and their perspectives, it was really interesting. So I'm just curious to see how WWE is going to piece it all together and edit it and create the final package. I don't know how WWE is going to condense all of this into, an hour or an hour and a half, because it is a lot of content. But I'm just very grateful that they did this and that they went to England. They interviewed my dad's dad and my dad's sister and a guy named Walter who owned a gym that my dad trained at in his younger years. And Walter was a bodybuilder. He's like in his 70s, but he was a big motivator and inspired my dad when he was growing up and was I would say probably my dad's best friend. So and he's never talked about it either. So this talking to my granddad, I think the last time they spoke to him was, I think it was 1991 or 1990.
Wow.
Yeah. When my grandmother was still alive. It was for when they did the UK Rampage tour, and they interviewed my dad, my mom, my grandmother, and my grandfather outside. So so it's going to be nice to see him talk again and get that. And if I did anything with if my dad's stuff has caught WWE's attention, and with Harry wrestling as Davey Boy Smith Jr. Led this to happen, I'm like, great.
One quick thing I do want to touch on as far as Harry's wrestling career goes, or Davey Boy Smith Jr., I should call him by his wrestling name. I don't know him by any means. You mentioned in a previous interview that when he was first with WWE back in 2010, 2011, that it wasn't upsetting to you that he was wearing the pink and black. You just potentially thought that he should have done something more with honoring your dad's red, white, and blue. Do you still think that's a case? And do you think it's pretty cool now that he's been able to do that and been able to represent for MLW and Bloodsport and so many great promotions?
Yeah. Like you mentioned, I was kind of like, well, I've just felt like that whole aspect of my dad was missing. And, I know that I'm trying to do the Heart Foundation with the pink and black, but it was like, not sure. But now he's wearing the Union Jack stuff, and he's got the paw prints, and he's having a lot of fun with it. And Harry loves dogs and loves bulldogs and wants to get a bulldog. So him incorporating all of that, he loves being creative and being like, oh, what if we did this here? And I feel like him wrestling as Davey Boy Smith Jr. has given him the confidence and the creativity and just freedom to do what he wants. And he's got some really cool outfits. Rey Mysterio's gear guy, he makes his stuff, so it stands out. And I'm glad that he's representing the Bulldog in some way. Also, he has the Heart Foundation stuff as well. So
both of them just had such great style. I think you mentioned in a previous interview as well that your dad had like Jimi Hendrix's gear maker, outfit maker doing his. That's wild.
You've done research. Michael Braun, based in Tampa. He did Jimi Hendrix's, and he did Macho Man's, and Macho Man recommended him to Davey. And I think he did Bruce Beefcakes, and he did some of Ultimate Warriors.
Very cool. Did you ever get the chance to talk to your dad, or have you had the chance to talk to Harry about that last match? You mentioned was it 1 or 2 that they wrestled each other in Winnipeg?
They wrestled.
Did you have a chance to talk to your dad about it? And if you did, maybe what did it mean to him?
We didn't really talk about it much because he actually, when they were driving back from Winnipeg to Calgary, there was a bit of a fender bender that, like, from the ice or something. So that kind of like took over the whole, so that was kind of like a big stressor, and it was like that was what was most talked about. But I've talked to Harry about it, and we also touch on that in the documentary. And it's just crazy and ironic how it kind of, like, Davey's last matches were with Harry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was kind of, sadly, like, meant to be. And I'm glad that they got that experience, and that's something that, Harry or my dad will ever forget. So, yeah. But Harry was, I think he was a bit nervous, and because he was like 17 at the time, or 16 going on 17, and he was like, oh boy, he's still kind of trying to figure out where he stood in wrestling and training and stuff. And having British Bulldog as your dad, as your tag team partner, it's pretty cool. And I think my dad helped him feel better.
Well, and in talking to TJ, if he's to be believed, and I've got no reason to distrust him, by that point, even Harry was about an 8-year veteran of professional wrestling, if I remember correctly. So tougher to break in, but at least he got the experience. It was pretty cool, even going through and doing my research. I think it was probably a few months before your dad was in the ring with Mauro Ranallo and Davey Boy Smith Jr. as well, and cutting the promo there. Like, even for me, it's just, it's heartwarming. I can't even imagine what it would do for you guys to be able to still have those memories to share.
Yeah, that's like one plus with one of the pluses with the internet is YouTube and finding hidden gems, and some of that stuff I'd never seen before or hadn't seen. I forgot about, like, there's a Davey doing a BJ's Gym commercial from like 2000. That was a channel at the time, and him talking to Mauro, and there's a really touching thing where it's him and Harry in the ring, and he's talking about like how proud he is of Harry, and like Harry's height and weight, and how he wanted Harry and him to be the new British Bulldogs.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, that's awesome. But yeah, cool.
What inspired you to sort of become the curator, I guess, for lack of a better term for it, of your father's legacy? You started the Instagram account, I think, just over 2 years ago now, if my math's correct. And since then, obviously, it's exploded. It is so cool for me to follow along and see, like you say, all of these photos that aren't your typical WWE promo photos, some behind the scenes stuff, and of course, some very, very cool stuff outside of that as well. What inspired you to make the jump, I guess?
Well, I remember it was January. Yeah, it was after New Year's, and I had some personal stuff going on in my life, and I just kind of was feeling a bit low on things. And I don't know, I just remember saying to my boss, I was like, what do you think about if I started like an Instagram page for my dad? And I follow Shannon Lee, Bruce Lee's daughter, and I follow Bruce Lee's page, and I see like all the cool things does on Bruce Lee and keeping his legacy alive. And I thought that's really cool. And I wasn't expecting anything. I just thought it was just a cool platform, or a platform for my dad, because I didn't think there was anything really out there of his. And there was some Facebook tribute pages, and I was just like, well, I've got all the stuff. Who's the best? I thought I was the best person to do it. So I started it, and it was pretty therapeutic and fulfilling to every day see my dad like post something. And as you know, every day I post something about him. There's not a day that goes by that I don't post something. And it really helped me get through what I was going through at the time. And I don't know if my dad, if like that was him from afar, like trying to help me, because it wasn't good. And I just kept it going. And I think people jumped on board with it because they saw how much I cared about it. And as you've seen, it's just exploded. Got verified, and WWE followed it, and Kieran, the guy who made the this documentary coming up, the Icons, he brought it up. It was a major point of discussion, the Instagram, and why it's so popular, and why I thought it's really taken off. And it's like, it's crazy because there's no like rhyme or reason or recipe. It's just, I just feel like because I care and people see the love that I've got and they just want to see Davey. So in a nutshell. But
that's
I think
so cool.
Yeah.
So cool, especially when I think it was 2015, you did the interview with The Observer where you said you wanted to do something that really sort of staked your place in the family, not just being, I guess, the daughter of Davey Boy Smith. And since then, you've done your stuff with MLW and with Wrestle Talk TV. And I think you're even working for iHeartRadio now if you updated the website recently. How cool has it been for you that not only has that stuff been so successful, but like, toot your own horn, Georgia, you're a major reason that your dad's getting an honor that I think a lot of people really felt he deserved.
Thank you. And as I was talking about before, where I think with Harry, with my dad's stuff, like he's found his confidence through my dad. I feel like I've, obviously I do a lot for my dad, but I feel like I'm becoming my own person. Like I'm becoming this, the face of the brand. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense. Hell yeah. And I'm going to say it with authority. It makes sense. So no one can argue it.
I just feel like now it's like people are like, oh, okay, that's Georgia. And it's not just, she's the British Bulldog's daughter. It's like, no, she runs this business. She's the face. Does the managerial position. She runs the brand. That's like, yeah, I do. Like, and I've made it happen. So, and I think my dad, he's helped me do that.
You've been very gracious in the past in saying that your belief is that Harry should induct and Harry alone should induct. You would say something, but now that you've been so foundational to him getting into the Hall of Fame, do you see you guys co-inducting your dad? Do you think that that's personally what you guys both want to do now? Again, like it ain't you taking anything away from yourself. You've just been really, really good to your brother and trying to give him that honor.
Yeah, Harry's going to be for sure speaking. I just hope that I'm able to talk, because they're obviously they're adding more inductees, so like get cut. But hoping that even if I just talk for 2 minutes, that's all I want, because I just want to thank some people, and as you know, like this just means so much to me, and I'm not going to get this moment again. So, yeah, I really, but I think WWE will both let us talk. I mean, it just makes sense. But yeah, I'm kind of a little grateful that there's no audience, because I'm going to be terrified.
Well, and I was going to say, I don't think it would be right if your dad went in traditional circumstances. Of course, we've all been waiting so long, and now we got to wait an extra year. Of course, he'd be a guy that everybody would just be so enthusiastic about, and there's no audience. But it's just so cool that he's going in, and I'm so happy for your family. I know I speak for a lot of Albertans here that I've spoken to that can also say the same thing. I know you've talked about your dad wanting to open a gym and wanting to run a wrestling school and that sort of stuff after retiring from wrestling. Do you have any more ideas on what he maybe would have wanted to do, or how he would have felt about this honor?
He would have as well. He was actually in the autumn of 2002. He was supposed to do a tour in England. I think he was going to be gone for like a year, if not a little less. He was going to be doing that. I think he was going to be doing a lot of events, tours, whatever shows, because that's all he wanted to do was wrestle. Yeah, definitely wanted to open up a gym or a wrestling school. And I remember he was looking at properties. He was actually looking in Inglewood in Calgary at some spots. And I know he wanted to get into film. He really I think I posted his headshots and his media package that he had, but he really wanted to get into that, or like stunt work, because he was like, I'll take the pain, I don't care. But those were the top things he wanted to do. I didn't see him really becoming like an agent or anything with WWE. But I think I would see him training the people at like the performance center.
You mentioned after he passed away in the bio you've got on your website that you stuck around Calgary until about 2006. You were involved in local wrestling at that point. Was that with Stampede? Was that sort of helping out in their last iteration? What was that like for you?
Oh boy. All I really did was like they wanted me to model some like Heart Bros University shirts.
Thanks, Bruce.
Yeah. That's about it, really. But yeah, Harry did a lot and got a lot of experience, as did Natty and TJ. And my uncles Ross and Bruce, they weren't really too keen on like Natty even getting into wrestling. And hey, she stuck it out. She powered through it, and she proved everybody wrong. So yeah, good old Stampede. And then it ended about 2006, and then 2007, 8, I moved back to Florida. Yeah.
You only mentioned them fleetingly in the interview I was listening to, so I have to ask, were you involved with the Matrats at all?
No.
Oh man, it's one of like the coolest, I guess, missed opportunities, I suppose, that I've ever had the opportunity to hear about, because like, again, you hear the talent. Teddy's there, TJ's there, Harry's there. I think Natalya took her first bump there with what TJ was telling me. It's just so cool. It's so nice to talk to a fellow Albertan about stuff like this, because it's rare that I get the opportunity to have people who know what I'm talking about sometimes.
A lot of people, they won't even know what I'm talking about or what you're talking about, or be like, huh? How is this happening? Like kids wrestling? What? But yeah, it did. I was a little too young for it. I was about 13 when it started. But I really I would have loved to have been a part of it. I was a bit jealous that other people were in it, but I did go to the shows, and I remember going to the show with my dad. Actually, you reminded me. I'm going to try to find that, because my dad comes out at the end of the ring when Harry wins his match against Rene Dupree, and he lifts Harry's
That's a name. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
So very cool. And I do, of course, have to ask, if I brought them up all this often, you've also mentioned that, of course, Harry, but Natty and TJ sort of not reinvigorated, but sort of reinvigorated your love of professional wrestling. How much does it mean to you that you guys are still so close in an industry that, even in the Hart family, sometimes there's the potential to pull back and forth?
It's just in their blood. Like, and they since Harry was, I can remember, it's always been him building wrestling rings, playing with wrestling. Well, sorry, I was going to say dolls, figures. That's all he knew. And I remember I would have been one hell of a referee back in because of KWA, Kids Wrestling Alliance or Association. I was always the referee. Yeah. But it was like Harry, Matt, they were always wrestling. And then TJ, and then Natty, it just like the timing and it just kind of all naturally happened. And because Natty was doing the ring announcing at Matrats.
Yeah.
And then she did the moonsault with TJ, and then I was like, hey, I kind of like this.
Who would have thought Kurt would be good at wrestling?
Whereas like with me, it never like clicked with like wrestling, and I was just like, no, not for me. Like, and I see how hard Harry and like my dad work, and how much like they put their bodies through. And also with wrestling, it's a lot like on your toes and thinking on your feet. I'm not very good at those things, so I'm gonna leave. So yeah, but I'm TJ, as you know, he's one of like the best people ever. And it's sad that he can't wrestle anymore, but he TJ was one of the best wrestlers ever, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
But
you won't catch me disagreeing with you there.
No, you won't catch no. And it's just one crazy family, and you can't write this stuff.
Nope, but I can guarantee to you, Georgia, I am so excited to have you back on the show to talk about it again, because like you just said, there are so many stories as far as the Harts go, as far as yourself and the Smiths and everybody involved in it goes. I do have to ask, and it's a bit of not an awkward or an odd question, but like even just in the half hour of getting to speak to you, you're so bubbly and warm and such a good person. It almost seemed like, you mentioned Matt and with your dad and with all of the sort of sadness that you guys have had in your family, to butcher a sentence. Is it easy for you to be as positive and as just, I suppose, loving as you are?
No, but when like you who are nice but like I just think things could be a lot worse. I mean, like that, it could be a lot worse, and I'm very grateful for things that have happened to me and things that are happening to me right now. And I'm just very excited about the future and my dad's Hall of Fame. So there's lots of things to look forward to. But yes, I mean, do I feel not so great? Sometimes, yeah, definitely. And sometimes it's just, I just block it out and I'm like, okay, just power through it. But yeah, I think the people you're around as well, whether it's just meeting somebody like you or just in your everyday life, you just surround yourself with positive people, because otherwise it's really easier to feel low, and it's harder to motivate, and it's just some people, it's just easier to be like, I don't care anymore. Yeah. So you just got to pick which one. And, I try to pick not the higher road, but the more positive road.
The glass half full, I suppose. Well, and it's not a question I love asking, because it often does play off of sad moments like that. But I do believe there's a lot more room for positivity in professional wrestling, a lot more room for positive people in professional wrestling, which is why I am so damn happy that you are a person involved in professional wrestling and someone who was so gracious in their time today. Georgia, seriously, I said it off the bat, I'll say it now. It is unbelievable to me to get the opportunity to chat with you today, especially, again, so close to such an important event for the family. If people want to follow not only the British Bulldog, but Georgia Smith, where can they keep track of the both of you guys online, or wherever else they can find you?
Well, they can follow me on Instagram at Georgia J. Smith, and I'm on Twitter at Georgia Smith 87. And I'm on Facebook, facebook.com/Georgia Smith 7. And Papa, he is on at the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith on Instagram. Twitter, he's on www.twitter.com at _ Davey Boy Smith, and his Facebook is the British Bulldog. So, and also check out daveyboysmith.com for any news, frequently asked questions, and as Spencer mentioned, like bios of Harry, myself, my mom. If you guys want to check that out, see some our little backstories, Davey's diet, his workout, his store, and any other interviews that I've done, or Harry's done, or my mom's done. It's all on the media pages. And yeah, as you said, like in the next couple of weeks, I've got a lot of media stuff coming up, press, and that will all be added on there. And it's just gonna be one crazy. I've never been to a Hall of Fame like this, so it's a history in the making. And obviously Davey's Davey's Instagram. Davey's Hall of Fame was supposed to happen last year, but it didn't. But now look, we've got all this build up and all these great things that have happened for him over this past year, and it's just making this even better. So yeah, and I think we're gonna have some surprises for everybody in store for the Hall of Fame. And yeah, it's just going to be great to honor and to celebrate my dad. And yeah, and if that's it, like that will be it. Like it will. I feel like I will have accomplished everything I set out to do for him, and it's just crazy that it all happened. But I didn't give up, and the fans, they're all their support. I'm just so glad that my dad is being shown so much love.
Absolutely. And it makes my heart so happy. I know, again, I speak for a ton of other people. And when I say congratulations to you and the entire family, it is so, so cool. I know that I'm going to be sitting there on April 6th, definitely trying to wave some tears or some sand out of my eyes. I'm positive on that end of things. But quite seriously, I can't say congratulations enough. And the nice thing is, it may not have happened in 2020, but it gave us another full year to be excited about the British Bulldog heading into the Hall of Fame. If you guys are a fan of the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, which you should be, and if you guys are a fan of Georgia Smith, which if you weren't before, you should be now, make sure you go and check out both of those social media platforms for the both of them, I suppose, across all social media platforms. I highly recommend it. As Georgia said, she does an excellent job of keeping up to date on both her and Davey Boy Smith. But We're going to talk more about that the next time we have you on, because I guarantee in the next little bit, I'll be back in your email inbox. This has been an absolute blast. It's been an absolute honor. And thank you once again.
Thank you once again. And check out the Hall of Fame, April 6th on the Peacock and the WWE Network.
I will see you there, as I hope to see all of you friends back on Love Wrestling here in the near future when I bring another great person in professional wrestling to the site. I've been Spencer Love, friends. Thanks for tuning in.